Happy NFC Championship game week, everybody, from the Patterson Report. I'm Brandon. That's Brian. The NFC through Philly. Just like CJ Gardner-Johnson predicted all those weeks ago. At the time, you thought that might have been the case, but we hadn't seen what this team could do yet. He's taking a victory lap this week, saying, I told y'all I was right. And hey, you know what? You're right. Took a little bit of luck to get here, but that doesn't matter. The Commanders have to come into the link, beat the Eagles to move on to the Super Bowl, and I just don't foresee a world in which that happens. I don't know if you're caught up on the Commanders fan bus, kind of like what we do in the Red Legion.
The fan bus heading up, they're like, hey, you might want to leave earlier so you're on time. And they're like, no, they're
Don't
mad.
Tell us what to do.
They're mad about it. They're mad.
Fucking be late. But if you're leaving the D.C. area at 10 a.m. and you're expecting to pull into the link in time for a 3 o'clock game with, I think there's 2 bathroom breaks along the way, I'll see you at halftime. That's gonna be. There's gonna be some giant gaps in that stadium. But hey, what do we know? We just live here, so be late.
Let's go to the games. We're gonna go party in. Oh gosh, what was it? M-Lot?
Yeah, M-Lot's the
couple. There's a couple. I don't want to leave anyone out. They're all incredible.
M's big. C is big. The reason M-Lot gets the
attention,
the notoriety is because they got the homie Phil Atticus in there cooking up all the strange meats. I saw the lineup for this week, and we got there was some bone marrow in there. We got the dinner dogs every week. I saw some short rib. This is one of the more tame weeks meat wise. I think last week they did camel. They've done gator at a point this year. So yeah, M-Lot's kind of like the food capital, and then I've seen some good clips out of C-Lot though, where they got some breweries and some local distilleries behind them. So two kind of different vibes there.
Yeah, but the Commanders fans won't get to experience that.
Yeah, they'll get there around 3:30, so I mean they can hang out with anybody who didn't have a ticket to the game. But yeah, I mean they'll get to experience. Look, like I said, we're a pretty ruthless fan base overall. But I feel like people were pretty cool about like, hey, I'm just letting you know you're probably going to be late. Why don't you show up early? Like, I think that was one of our more tame fan-to-fan interactions. And it was like, oh, no, you know what we're doing. All right, fuck you there. Whatever.
Yeah, there was no hostility until they became hostile.
Yeah. Like
everyone's like, what are we doing?
Yeah. And I'm not saying we're choir boys usually. We're absolutely not. But this was one instance where, like, it was an olive branch, it almost felt like, from the Eagles fans. And they chose not to take it. So now, in my opinion, it's open season.
I agree. I mean, you're going to be late. There's no question about that. But, maybe they want to be late. I think this game is just – I looked at the hypothetical spreads for the Super Bowl already, because you dabble in that. It's 1.5 for both teams, and then 4.5 if Commanders win. So it's gonna be the better game if the Eagles win. And I've been, researching around, looking around, trying to see what the problem is here, because there's a problem. Everyone knows it, but you just can't seem to point fingers. I think it's a combination of everything at this point. You have Jalen not playing too well. He gets a lot of media hate.
Yeah.
Surely he hasn't played well. I'm not going to sit here and say he's played well. The narrative would be different if A.J. Brown caught that ball the one, or Devontae Smith didn't get absolutely pancaked by 2 defenders. Not putting that on him either, But
yeah, there was 2 touchdowns up on the board last week. I see.
Then the tush push with the false start. There was so many ifs in this past game, but the Eagles still find a way to win, and that's what they do. That they're winners. It's just it's in their blood. I mean, you look back, I don't think the Eagles and Commanders had a fair game this far this season, if I'm being completely honest.
Well, no, because we got them when they were mega injured, and then they got back at us when we had lost Hurts and CJ got thrown out of the game. So this will be the first time both of these teams play at near full strength. I think the Commanders are still dinged up a little bit.
I think the Eagles are dinged up a little bit too. I mean, obviously Hurts is the big one.
We'll see about Cam Jurgens. I'm hopeful he can go.
Landon Dickerson taking snaps at center today did not bring up my encouragement level of that at all.
No, and it never really occurred to me that like he's the backup center. Like we don't have a true backup center who's like natural to the position. And on an Eagles team that, I mean, the O-line is spectacular. Jeff Statlin's a god. Like Howie Roseman, great roster construction. It seems like an oversight.
I think, I mean, we drafted Landon Dickerson as the center of the future, and he just stuck at guard so well because Kelsey was still there, and he just played so well that we just kept him there. Like, that's what the team did. So it's an embarrassment of riches to a point, but at the same time, it's a little nerve-wracking to have such a stable guard move. His PFF grade last week was ridiculous. I think it was 94.1. It was up there.
And they have a good center, too. It's kind of like a double whammy because, I mean, Cam Jurgens is a very good center. I think the Jason Kelsey comparisons are a little bit premature, but he's having a really, really good season. So you're losing a very good center. You're taking an extremely good guard and putting him at a position that he's probably at least a little uncomfortable with at the pro level. And then you're replacing him with what would be in all likelihood Tyler Steen probably would take that guard spot. So I mean, now you're compromised at guard and at center. Not that Tyler Steen's a negative, he's not, but he's also not Landon Dickerson.
That's an unfair comparison. Landon Dickerson's one of the best guards in the game. So it's one of those things, but I think the O-line desperately needs to bounce back. It wasn't good last game. I could just, make that apparent. Jared Verse came in here and he talked the talk and he walked the walk. I'll give him that. He was incredible.
Yeah.
He was giving Lane Johnson and Jeremiah a lot of fits. So I got to give him credit for that. Fans didn't like him. I understand why they didn't like him, but he backed it up.
I'll say this, and you're right. The fans didn't like him. He was talking a lot of shit, but I've seen this from a lot of Eagles accounts. I think he also earned a lot of respect from Eagle fans. One, he talked his shit, had a fantastic game. You got to respect that. Two, that locker room interview at the end of the game, they were asking about the back and forth and all with the fans, and he seemed like he kind of gets it. He was like, "No, that's the point, man. Like, they were throwing snowballs at me. They were yelling at me. It's like these guys live and breathe this team. That's what you want from a fan base." And I was like, you know what? That's exactly how you handle Philly fans. You can talk your shit. We'll talk our shit. If you back it up on the field and there's respect at the end of the game, like he would be a guy now, I feel like, where if he ever were to become an Eagle, it would be like open arms, like we're all cool.
Yeah, I feel like that's for everyone though at this point almost. There's a couple of people who are like, but
there's some people that handle it poorly for sure, that turn it into like a lifelong beef. But I think as long as when you leave the game, you go, hey, look, respect, great game. They go, look, you guys are passionate, and we all go about our separate ways. I think that's that.
Yeah, dude. If you're free this weekend, come have a cheesesteak and Emla. One of those things. I mean, Daniel Jones was in Saquon's box last week.
Yeah,
in the suite. So like Sterling Shepard was up in the suite as well. So, I mean, why not, man? I mean, there's no beef there.
No, and like we can get into a whole diatribe about how it's not really.
Yeah, we got to talk about the game. We've been talking about tailgating and travel a little too much, but it's warranted. It's the big story of the week, apparently.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. Keys to the game. I think you hit it nail on the head. And I tweeted about it, and I had some Nets fan in my mentions blow me up about being a Jalen Hurts hater. This is a pro Jalen Hurts podcast. Pretty much always has been. He objectively has not played well, I would argue, in the last 2 weeks. That's just what it is. You can manipulate the numbers. I get that he wins. I know he's a winner. I appreciate that about Jalen. He hasn't played the quarterback position at a playoff level. The safety in the end zone, Kellen Moore can take some credit for. It was a horrible play call, but Jalen, you're you've got a mega extension. You've been doing this for 4 seasons now. Get rid of the football. Like, there was 3 instances last week where I know you can create with your legs. Get rid of the ball. He cost you 4 or 5 yards. A couple throws that were just missed. A couple receivers didn't do him any favors, but he's going to have to be. I don't need him to be 2022 Jalen. I think you win the Super Bowl if he is, but I do need him to be at least average for us to have a shot.
Yeah, I mean, the spread this game is 6.5, so like Vegas thinks it's going to be not that close, but even if he doesn't show up this week, the concerns are going to be talked about for the next 2 weeks. Look, I'm not going to say it. He's not in the level of a Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. I understand that it's probably never going to happen. There's a very good chance. But the way that people are talking about Jalen Hurts compared to those guys this week is just not fair in my opinion.
Josh Allen threw for 175.
Josh Allen did have 2 on the ground, so I'll give him that. He had more of a ground presence than Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts had that long touchdown run. So, like, those guys aren't getting enough criticism for what they did this past week, while Jalen Hurts is getting piled on a little too hard. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve criticism. He absolutely does. But, man, it's just everyone's talking about the Eagles. I mean, you turn on any sports network, it's Eagles this, Jalen Hurts that. Like, nothing about the Bills, nothing about Patrick Mahomes, a little bit about Jaden Daniels and the Commanders because the story's been incredible. But I've been saying this. I should probably eat my words. I said they were a couple of years away. I said they were going to turn this roster around on our preview shows when we played them the past couple of times. But it's just incredible what he could do with the quarterback in there. And that's stopping him is going to be the biggest key to the game. Jalen Carter, absolutely incredible last week. I feel like we have to highlight that. He saved them. He was the hero.
Yeah. This D-line, and I believe the way our D-line is constructed is really, really well not designed. I've used the word too many times, but it plays well against mobile quarterbacks. Reason being is we're one of the few teams that don't rely on their edge to generate pressure. It's nice when Nolan Smith does. It's nice when Sweat is able to get there. They've been on a tear lately. But we live and die with the push in the middle. And if you're a running quarterback, all you're hoping for, well, Jalen Hurts does it, all you're waiting for is for those edges to get behind you, and then you're able to make plays out wide. With the Eagles, that's not necessarily where your pressure's coming from. We're coming directly at you. So we'll force you right or left and then force you into an extremely athletic Nolan Smith. He's probably more linebacker than end, and then a really athletic Josh Sweat on the other side with the Vaughn, who's a fantastic tackler. So, I mean, I think Jaden Daniels is going to get hits. He's kind of in that category now where you just hope to limit the amount of damage and the amount of scrambles he's able to get. Yeah,
the defense gets a lot of hate for that last game where they forced 5 turnovers and still lost. I mean, Kenny Pickett was the quarterback. Jalen Hurts was knocked out, but I mean, you look at that, then you look at the one where his ribs were hurt. Obviously, he was hurting back then, so like you can't really judge that too much either. It's really difficult. I think Vic Fangio's seen him enough now, though, where he knows kind of how to game plan for him. And the Achilles heel of the first 2 matchups he faced, the Lions defense, sure, they would have been amazing, probably Super Bowl favorites if they were all healthy. They ran out of guys, and then you saw as soon as Amik Robertson went down, their backup corner one. It just all started to snowball. It felt like as soon as he went out, it's like that was the last guy that they could afford to lose, and just kept going. And Tampa Vita Vea is incredible, but behind that, defense is a little bit of a liability. Baker Mayfield's awesome at offense. The offense is awesome, but I think this is the best defense he's faced this playoffs on this magical run, and I just hope that we could shut him down because if he can't, I don't know if this team's equipped to get into a shootout right now.
No, and I think that's why you hear so much nationally about this Eagles team. And I don't think it's entirely warranted. I think winning means a lot. It doesn't matter so much how you win. KC's been winning ugly all season. You don't hear the same kind of criticism for them. Ugly's
an understatement. They're skating by luck at this point. Feels like.
Yeah. luck and divine intervention.
They're gonna luck into a win against Buffalo this weekend too. Just wait.
I'm hoping. I'd rather see that, but I think you've seen Pat Mahomes time and time again. Like he is the kind of quarterback where in the fourth quarter, if you had 2 minutes, Pat Mahomes has the ball, the other team is nervous. I feel the same way about Josh. Jaden Daniels hasn't proven he can do it yet, but he's on an all-time heater, like you and I have been talking about. I think the reason you hear so much about the Eagles and Jalen is he's done it before. He did it, against KC in 22, but we didn't see it last year, and we haven't seen that guy this year. So we're really the one team where if we end up in a shootout, like you said, we are up shit's creek without that.
Yeah, we really are. And, Jalen's hurt. I don't know if you saw the practice footage today. It didn't look good.
He's going to play hurt the rest of the play.
Oh, he's playing hurt the rest of the way. And, 2 weeks off would be nice. But
if we can get
it. He was on something good. Well, the post-game interview,
he's on some serious painkillers.
Yeah, he must have been in serious pain.
And the mobility's way down.
Yeah, hopefully gets it all sorted out. We wish the best for a pro Jalen Hurts podcast, obviously, but it's just one of those things where Jane Daniels has done it so much this season. There's been so much last second or overtime just, hey, I'm going to win the game, whether it's in Tampa, whether it's in Philadelphia, whether it's in Dallas, whether it's against the Bears with that Hail Mary. I mean, they just find a way to win. I mean, the Dallas game, they would have won, except they didn't because of the kickoff return, but that was ridiculous too. Like, this team is just stacking on ridiculous moments. But the one thing I want to talk about is this kind of feels like the Minnesota game, if I'm being honest. It's got a little bit of that feel.
It could be when the lid comes off.
Jane Daniels is way better than Case Keenum. Sorry, Case Keenum is catching strays out here. But they're coming off an incredible high. They scored 45 points against the number 1 seed at their home stadium. We saw the Minneapolis Miracle, an incredible victory, and they came in and they got crushed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a dream run.
Mm-hmm.
The Commanders are on a dream run right now. The teams are constructed differently, obviously, but it's kind of got that feel to it where if we thought it was going to be close, Vegas thought it was going to be close, the lines would be in the 2.5 to 3 range right now, which they're not. They're in a 6.5. I know they didn't cover last week barely because, extra point safeties, whatnot. But if they had the feel it was going to be closer, we'd be looking at a KC Buffalo spread right now at 1.5, 2.5. They think the Eagles are going to do exactly as I'm saying right now, go in and roll them, and it's not going to be close. But
yeah, I mean, look, and we knew early with that Vikings game. Because, like you said, I think it's a great comparison because the people forget. Look, Nick Foles went on a sensational run. It was a great playoff for him. Vikings game was all time. The Super Bowl outdueled Tom Brady. That Falcons game, we probably shouldn't have won. Let's just call that what it is. Julio Jones catches that ball 9 out of 10 times. Jalen Mills was in his face. He made it a little bit harder. But Julio was completely over top of him. He just dropped it. And a lot of you forget about that a lot because you think, the Eagles were unstoppable in this playoff. Not the case. Hopefully, I'm with you. I hope that the Packers/Rams game is the equivalent of the Falcons game. And this team all of a sudden turns it on against Minnesota and drops 35-40 and, puts the league on notice. I want nothing more than for that to happen. I'm not sure it is. I hope I'm wrong. This team's more talented than that one. The receiving core is better. The running game's better. The offensive line is better. We've been waiting all season, it's felt like, for that moment where the lid comes off the offense. And I'll hope for another week, but I'm starting to think it's just not going to pop off.
I agree. And, I'm glad Vic Fangio has transformed this defense because
oh, dude, we'd be fucked.
Man, oh, man. It was the job he's done, the leaps that have been taken. I wrote about this last week. Zach Bond, obviously, Jalen Carter, Quinion Mitchell, Cooper DeJean coming in and excelling right away. Like, he's done an absolute masterclass of this defense. And I think the number one key to the game is going to be Nolan Smith as well. Yes, gotta shout that out. The number one key to the game is going to be Jalen Carter. He's going to win this game for the Eagles. Sam Cosmi, he was a really good right guard. He tore his ACL last week, sadly. He's going to miss, in the next season. So there's going to be a backup in there now. And Jalen Carter is going to get to go out of backup right guard in his first taste of playoff action in the most important, well, not his first taste. He played a little bit in the Lions game, my bad. But his first taste of real starting playoff action in probably the loudest stadium in the league against one of the best defensive tackles in the league. It's a very, very tough task. And I'm sure Cliff Kingsbury will try to help him a little bit with, a little bit of protection, quick throws,
some double teams and stuff.
Double teams. They're going to try to help him out, obviously, as any good coach would. But I think Jalen Carter is poised to have another big impact game. And I do want to shout out Oren Burks as well. He played better last week.
He did. He wasn't a negative. He made some big tackles. I thought he was a negative in the Green Bay game when he came in, personally. I thought he hurt the defense with some missed tackles.
I can't call him a negative in that game. I mean, on defense, you had the argument, but I'm just going to go game as a whole with the special teams play and the fumble to start off the game.
Yeah.
So you're correct. I'm just pointing out why I do. Yeah,
that makes sense. I think last game he was a competent linebacker. He did exactly what was asked of him. He's not Nakobe Dean. He won't be in these playoffs, but he didn't detract from some Zach Long, which helped. But yeah, I think that D line goes as Jalen Carter. He's reached that status already. He's as good this year as Fletch in his prime, which is astounding to say. I think he could have the type of career where he ascends even what Fletch was able to do as an Eagle. And Fletch is one of the best D linemen the Eagles have ever seen. I think he'll wind up being a Ring of Honor guy at some point. But I think the pass rush as a whole is what's going to make the difference here. I think if we have over 3 sacks, I'm feeling great about our chances because Jaden Daniels, as good as he is, he's still a rookie. If you can get him on his back 3-4 times, even a couple QB hits, a couple pressures, make him make really quick reads, force him into some mistakes. That back end is so good we'll be able to turn the ball over. But if we're able to get a pass rush, I think we have a really, really good shot.
See, it's the if you get them to make mistakes. They turned the ball over 5 times in that game, and they've been playing relatively clean football since, especially in the playoffs. So he's been
we're the best defense he's seen in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so difficult. I looked at the time of possession of that Eagles game. They still dominated. It was still almost 2-1. So even though we had the ball, the defense still kind of, the drives at the end of the game weren't that long, but
yeah,
it has me nervous a little bit that, when you're like the team of destiny kind of thing, where it's you can't be stopped. We've experienced that before. It could be that again with the other side, because if Jaden Daniels comes into Philadelphia, beats the Eagles and goes to Super Bowl, it's the best rookie quarterback season of all time. He might be there right now, but Andrew Luck is pretty good, but
yeah,
he might be there right now. If he wins one more game, he's definitely there, because that's ridiculous. If he overcomes 9-point spreads and a 6-point spread as massive underdogs, at that point you just gotta tip your cap and go on.
Yeah, but me personally, I don't think that's going to happen. So let's get to our score predictions for this one. I think we're going to be aligned a little bit here. I don't think this one's going to be particularly close. I'm hoping this turned out to be a statement game. I'm going 27-17 Eagles.
I like that. I was going to say something. I'm cheating and looking up the over under right now because Vegas has been really good with setting their lines recently. All right, so it's 47.5. I'm going to go. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go Eagles 31, Commanders 17. I think this is the game. This is the one. This is the one where we're like, okay, we could do this and win it all.
I hope you're right, but we will
I hope I'm
find out
right too.
Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. I'm probably gonna watch the bar. I can't watch by myself. I get too intense. I need like the energy around me. But Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock, Eagles, Commanders. The NFC runs through the link, and we will be back next Thursday with a victory pod looking toward the Super Bowl.
Hopefully, can't go too early.
I'm putting it out there. We'll knock on wood.
I'm knocking for you. I do want to make a bold prediction first before we go.
What's that?
Cooper DeJean's getting his first career INT. Shades of Patrick Robinson. I don't know if he's going to return it all the way, but I call it Quignon's first interception. So I'm calling my shot here again. DeJean's going to get him. He's going to get him.
All right. First pick for DeJean. Might even be a pick 6. We'll check back next week and see if Ryan was right. Shout out Patrick Robinson. I'm Brandon. That's Ryan. Go Birds.